this whole press is my first press. That was my first real lead movie, pretty much my first movie. And yeah, definitely the first time I tackled any kind of physical change like that.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Poppin' the Culture, your weekly entertainment check-in. Me? You know me. I'm your host with the most mojo. That's right, it's me, Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers. Another fantastic show coming your way. I'll be speaking with the director of the new film, Emily the Criminal. That's right, it's John Patton Ford. Plus, I've got the stars of the crime thriller, The Runner. Don't want to miss those chats. But first, we're jumping into it. Here's your Hollywood headlines. All right, we begin with House of the Dragon. The Game of Thrones prequel series managed to pull off a record-setting premiere.
Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
Set nearly 200 years prior to the events of Game of Thrones, the debut brought nearly 10 million viewers back to Westeros, marking the biggest series premiere in HBO history.
Now they see you as you are.
The onslaught of bloodthirsty viewers even caused the HBO Go app to crash, mostly on Amazon's Fire TV. Now, I'm not saying it was sabotage, but with Amazon entering the high fantasy arms race with Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, it's safe to say this battle has already started.
Eventually, one or the other must surely break.
Moving on now to Andrew Garfield. The popular actor is pushing back against detractors of method acting. This after he noted that he starved himself of food and, let's just say, intimacy for the 2016 film Silence.
I was celibate for 6 months.
Wow.
I was, and fasting a lot because me and Adam had to lose a bunch of weight anyway.
Following the likes of David Harbour and Sebastian Stan, who decried method actors, Garfield stated on Mark Maron's WTF podcast that it's not about being an a-hole to everyone on set, but rather living truthfully in imagined circumstances when you need to.
You want to test my faith? Give me a real challenge.
Of course, Andrew Garfield's biggest bit of method acting happened when he lived a lie of pretending not to be in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Peter Parker.
And from one English accented heartthrob to another, Harry Styles says he's pressing pause on his acting career.
Thank you for your loyalty.
Not everyone gets this opportunity.
In a new interview with Rolling Stone, Styles noted that despite starring in 2 highly anticipated movies this year, it'll be a while before he makes another one.
My priority is the music. It goes music, then comedy. Well, let's be honest, it goes music, then fantastic hair, then comedy.
As for the rumors that the pop star is headed to the Star Wars franchise, Styles says those are untrue. Okay, sure. And Han didn't shoot first.
Yes, I bet you have.
All right, and here to break it down just a little bit more is Watch Mojo's very own. It's Phoebe Dijou. Hey, Phoebe, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me here today to talk about these things. Okay, let's start with something I know for a fact you watched, House of the Dragon. Before we get to the big numbers, the premiere numbers, what did you think?
I thought it was fantastic. We watched it last night, and it really felt like Game of Thrones. I felt like I was back in that world, and it felt so good to be back in that world. The characters are so compelling. The acting is phenomenal, and I really think that this will be like the next unifying show for everybody. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, it really did. You say that it took you back to that world of Game of Thrones, and it really did for me as well. And you're not alone. The fans are really loving it, but also the critics. The critics are lauding it. So I can see if it stays, the standards stay the same, and like what they put out in that first episode, if it stays like that, I mean, and this could be back in the awards race. You know, I thought the performances were great. Matt Smith is so fantastic in here, but it's also broke records. This is HBO's highest watch premiere ever in their history, even more than the original Game of Thrones. Now, it's not getting to the numbers of, say, the Game of Thrones final season, but it has a lot of potential.
Well, yeah, that's pretty encouraging because Game of Thrones, when it first started, was not the hit that it ultimately became, right? So this show already has that built-in fan base, so we can probably expect to see those numbers go up even higher.
House of the Dragon, and then we've got Rings of Power. The battle will be on very, very shortly. I know you hold the Lord of the Rings lore near and dear to your heart. Do you think one will overtake the other, or is there room for both?
I think there's room for both, but I do have a sneaking suspicion that House of the Dragon will be better than the Rings of Power, just because, I mean, it's an Amazon show, and I know it's like the highest budget of any television show of all time, but that doesn't mean it's good quality, right? And from the trailers that we've seen so far, I'm not overly impressed, so I guess I'll just wait and see. I'll reserve judgment.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to see Rings of Power's debut numbers as well, to see who got the most eyeballs right off the bats. But we'll be watching and we'll be talking all about it. Let's move on now to an actor that I'm a fan of, Mr. Andrew Garfield. Very versatile. He can sing. He can do the superhero stuff. He can do the dramatic stuff. Well, he's also talking about his method, and that would be method acting. I don't know if you've been following the news, but there were other actors that have come out saying method acting is garbage. Those people are, for lack of a better word, a-holes for doing it. No, Andrew Garfield saying, no, it's not that bad. It's not about being an a-hole to the cast. It's about living in that world when you need to. What do you make of this whole method acting stuff that seems to be taking over the headlines lately?
So to me, it's like it's a spectrum, right? Like Andrew Garfield is doing method acting for a character, and he's likely not hurting anybody, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like a Jared Leto who's sending like used condoms in the mail to his co-stars, and it's just I think it's just an excuse to behave poorly. And unfortunately, it seems like it's a really popular thing to do lately, and I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think a lot of people that do method acting, they get a bad rap for the stories that happen behind the scenes. You look at your Jim Carrey when he was doing Man on the Moon, or Christian Bale, right, where he had that flip out on set. But if you look at some other actors that kind of go in the zone, you know, I mean, some of the works they put out is pretty good. So I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I guess I've yet to see like a method acting performance that really like blows me away. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, Jared Leto is giving the whole thing a bad name because on Morbius it was saying that his character, you know, was so decrepit and weak that for bathroom breaks it would take him like 50 minutes to get to the washroom and back because he was really playing it up that he had a hard time walking.
I think he was just saying that because he had to take big poops on set.
Could be. Wow, we're going.
You heard it here first.
Phoebe's got the inside scoop. Okay, moving on. I don't even know how to segue into our next guy, but it's Harry Styles, who I'm sure has very small bathroom breaks. Who knows? Harry Styles is saying that he's taking a break from acting. He wants to focus on his music and I think his relationship as well. What do you think of this? Because it just feels like his acting career was just starting to blossom. He's in a lot of big movies. He popped up in Eternals, but now he's saying, no, I'm going to take a break. It's going to be a while, is what he says, before the next one.
Yeah, I find it unusual that he's like halting his acting career when it's only just starting to begin. He's such an exciting actor too. Like, Don't Worry, Darling is coming out soon, and I'm really looking forward to that. I know that's more like Florence Pugh's movie, but I can't wait to see him in that. I know he was in Dunkirk. And yeah, I mean, his music career has always been at the forefront of his persona, right? So I mean, this doesn't surprise me, but can he do both? Because he's good.
There was also rumors that he was going to pop up in a galaxy far, far away, that of course being Star Wars. He's saying no. He's saying those rumors are false. But do we believe him? I don't believe him. I think, I don't know.
I don't know. The fact that he would even like substantiate them screams to me. Like, you know, when everyone was asking Andrew Garfield if he was in the new Spider-Man, he was like, no. And then he was. So.
When have actors ever lied to us, guys? When? Never, right?
All the time.
So Harry Styles, there you go. And last question, his relationship that he has now with Olivia Wilde. I mean, that is also in the headlines because Olivia Wilde is in this kind of bit of a custody battle with Jason Sudeikis. Is this is this all kind of distracting for Harry Styles? Like there's a lot of drama going on, a lot of tabloid drama.
Yeah, definitely distracting. I also kind of feel for him and Olivia as well, just because like the vitriol from his audience has been so fierce, and it's a lot probably to deal with, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, is it worth it?
Yeah, I think Harry Styles fans will follow him no matter what he does, whether it's music, whether it's TV. I don't know what else he could do. Maybe he'll be a magician, and Harry Styles will have a career no matter what. Phoebe, thanks so much for helping me break all this down.
Oh, God, thank you for having me.
Hey, don't go anywhere. You know the drill. Me and you, we got to take a little trip. The trip is beyond a list. All right, Phoebe, here's what we do. We go in the vast archives of Watch Mojo. We pluck out a top 10 list. We go beyond the list with our own takeaways, opinions. Did Watch Mojo get it right? Did they get it wrong? You can tell me. Don't be shy today. This is going to be a fun one. Actually, if you want to go in the archives, folks, and watch it for yourself, this was voiced by Phoebe. You did this one. The top 10 main characters who were the worst on their own show. I watch a lot of TV, and you know what? It happens quite a bit and we'll see in this list where some of the main characters are, let's just say they're not my favorites. Number 10, we're starting with a bang here. This is interesting. Number 10, the worst character on Lost? Well, they're saying it was Jack. Jack was like the focal point. Were you team, what was the other one? It was Jack and
Sawyer.
Jack and okay, which team were you on? Jack or
Sawyer, baby.
What?
Sawyer, yeah. He started out as like a total asshole. But he became like a really sympathetic character, and Jack is just like the most insufferable person.
What?
Yeah, to me, I mean, at least to me, he's insufferable.
I kind of listen, Jack, those people would be dead. Jack was the leader. Jack was very much under control. Sawyer was useless. You're right at the beginning. He was just being the bad guy, just being the jerk.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Jack, like, he fell too quickly into the role of like the leader of the group. I think he thought that he was more of a leader than he actually was, because he was a bit dumb.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think as the show went on, he became
And the actor who played him too. My God, he did a few messed up things.
Yeah, and he's I was gonna say that you don't see that actor anymore. He's kind of dropped off. Are you talking like in his personal life he did messed up things?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you heard the story about him punching a woman on a bus, like a bus driver.
No.
He punched her in her private part.
Wow. Okay. It's like the remake of a Speed I didn't want to see. That's interesting. Yeah, no, maybe there's a good reason we don't see him anymore. But yeah. Jack from Lost, they're saying he's the worst. Okay. He just got canceled right now. People are like, what? Jack from Lost punched a girl. Victorious is number 9, and the character Tori Vega was the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of supporting characters on that show that are like a lot more likable, like Jade and the character that Ariana Grande plays, Kat. But have you ever seen that interview with Victoria Justice and the other characters where they're like, oh, Ariana Grande sings all the time, and she's like, I think we all sing. That's like the vibe she gave in the show too.
That's so great. That is so great. It reminds me of that Saturday Night Live character that was always trying to up the other person, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Okay, I never saw the show, so I'm going to take your word for it. That's a Disney Channel?
Nick.
Okay. But similar type tone? Am I talking?
Yeah,
okay.
like a fun 2000s like kid teen show type thing. It's fun.
The tween shows. Yeah, I never got on those buses. Well, actually, I say that, but our next entry, I would kind of put it in maybe that category. It's Saved by the Bell. I love this because it's Zach Morris was the worst. There is, I think Funny or Die does this, and they do these video segments called Zach Morris is Trash. And they take an episode and they explain how Zach Morris is the worst. Yeah. And it's so true. But I mean, he's a character that you love to hate, right? Am I right? I didn't just dislike the character so much.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that, like, in retrospect, like, the things that he does in the show are, like, so not PC or, like just unacceptable in today's political climate almost, because when you're watching that show as like a young kid in like a different era, it's like, oh, he's cool and you know, he's funny or whatever, and then you're like, oh, he does a lot of weird stuff. Like, doesn't he get one of his friends hooked on like caffeine pills or something?
Oh yeah, he does all of that. So all the troubles stem from Zach Morris, and he never, in the next episode, he never seems to learn his lesson because he's always doing these crazy things, and he totally used Screech, right? Just like threw him under the bus so many times. Zach Morris is trash. You got to watch that. It'll explain so much. But I still like the character. He's entertaining to watch. Some of these, not so much. Let's get into number 7 here. Gilmore Girls. Not the biggest Gilmore Girl watcher. I've seen some episodes. They're saying Rory, the character Rory Gilmore, is the worst.
Yeah. Kind of insufferable. She's whiny and she just like makes so many mistakes, and she's so mean to her mom. Yeah, she sucks.
I remember. It's funny that you say mean to her mom. The few episodes that I did see, I'm like, yeah, she's not a very nice to her mom. Rory.
Unacceptable.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Orange is the New Black. This was the it thing. I don't know if you remember this show. Netflix, one of its first original series. Very popular when it first came out. I think it kind of hung around. But the character Piper was not very liked out there, and I can definitely see why.
I couldn't really get into this show because of the character. Like, I was just like, why would I want to follow this person? So annoying.
No, it's so true. When I think back about that show, it's all the other characters around her that I remember and that I'm drawn to, that I liked and rooted for, where she was just pretty much the worst. I mean, she had a lot of issues that she was working out in jail, but I don't know. Maybe it was just poorly written, or the actress just didn't carry it very well. But yeah,
I don't know.
She wasn't the greatest. Sex and the City is we're at the midway point here. Carrie Bradshaw. They're saying Carrie's the worst. I did a one of those quizzes. What Sex and the City character are you? I got Samantha.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you got Carrie.
No, I got Samantha. I don't know what that means. I don't really watch Sex and the City. I'm very familiar. Carrie is the
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Jessica Parker. Yes, thank you. So that's her character.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of this show, but I know she's like a terrible friend. I've seen like clips and stuff. People repost them on Twitter and stuff to be like, oh my God, how did we never notice this? And she's just so mean and so horrible to her friends. Yeah.
I think, and so you didn't follow the movies or like that new show?
No, but I heard the kicker of the new show, and I thought it was so funny. I don't know. Is it still spoiler territory?
No, God, no.
That Mr. Big died on a Peloton.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And then, of course, Kim Cattrall, who played Samantha. I want that kind of behind the scenes documentary of what went on behind the scenes, more than like a reboot of the show. I want to know all the juiciness that went on behind the scenes, because that seems pretty catty.
I love it.
Number 4, Rachel on Glee. Yes, I hated Rachel, and I'll admit it, folks. I was a big Glee watcher. I think I stuck around to the final season, but Rachel I hated, and maybe it's because I didn't like her character, but now I don't like the actress. And what's her name?
Lea Michele.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't like her, but I think it's based on her character that she played.
Yeah, I mega gleek here, mega gleek. Love Glee.
I didn't know this.
Just rewatched it for like the 10th time. I love that show. It's so funny, and the first few seasons are like so self-aware. So it's like, I feel like people criticize it so much because they're like, oh, it's so cringy, but it's like, it's supposed to be cringy. Anyway, her character is kind of the worst, but I also kind of love her. Like, I don't love Lea Michele. I've heard a lot of terrible things about her, but her character on Glee, I feel like, I don't know. I just kind of like her for some reason.
I didn't. So you're saying that that Lea Michele in real life, there's a bit of problematic stuff with her?
Oh yeah, lots of stuff. But it's funny because she just got cast in the revival of Funny Girl on Broadway.
Yes.
And that was like her character's thing in the show, right?
Yes.
Because Beanie Feldstein apparently was like not doing well on Broadway, so they recast Fanny Brice with Lea Michele. And that's a controversial pick, but I think she will knock it out of the park. I mean, you can't deny she's very, very talented. So
She is talented. You're right. But I hated watching her so much. I'm gonna say that's what this list is. People you don't like.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
You're allowed to hate her. Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother, Ted Mosby is number 3. People always said I looked a little like Ted before I had the facial hair. And but because of that, I always kind of liked the character. Right?
Yeah. People always tell me that I look like Marshall. So.
Oh, there you go.
I'm joking.
But people didn't like he was what, like the nice guy?
Oh yeah, like the quintessential nice guy, like, you know, like that trope, like I'm a nice fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he sucks. I'm like a huge How I Met Your Mother fan, like super big fan. I even tried to watch How I Met Your Father, but unfortunately it is unwatchable.
Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, no, he's the worst, like the absolute worst. And I think it's one of those things of reframing when like as you get older and you watch it and you kind of like reframe it in your mind, like, oh, I know a guy like this and he sucks. So yeah, no, he's terrible, the worst.
And once again, another example of the actor not doing anything after like the show goes off. But meanwhile, Neil Patrick Harris and everyone else kind of did stuff. Yeah, I
think he did like a few indie movies, Josh Radnor, but yeah, the other ones have kind of like skyrocketed.
But I always liked him because people said I looked like him, and if I didn't like him, then it's like I'm not liking myself. So I don't know.
Gotta love yourself first.
Silly way to look at it. God, what happened to this show? Girls is number 2. For some reason that escaped my memory, but yeah, the character Hannah, the worst on Girls, HBO.
Yeah.
That was an interesting show. It had its moment. It had a bit of a cultural moment, but then I'm not sure why it just kind of.
Yeah, the culture turned on that show really fast. I feel like it was like she was kind of like, you know, like a protege almost. I think she worked with like Judd Apatow on that show. Like she was kind of his protege. And yeah, the culture turned on that show because it was so popular. And then people just started hate watching it. And she really had a very steep fall from grace.
Yeah, pretty big that she hasn't recovered from. But I remember watching episodes. I watched a few and I'm not really liking her. And I remember being so annoyed with her. I'm reminded of this episode where she was cleaning her ear with a toothpick and she went too far and it got stuck in her ear. And just one of those things where you yelled at the TV and you just didn't like the person you were watching. So. Okay, honorable mentions. I like when Watch Mojo does this because they didn't fit into the actual top 10, but they're maybe in this case dishonorable mentions, right? Sabrina Spellman from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This is the new one. This is the new Sabrina, right?
Have you seen that one?
I saw her do the Riverdale stuff.
Okay, yeah. No, I haven't seen this show, so I have no opinion.
Watch Mojo is saying she was pretty annoying, and I kind of agree that. The stuff I did see was annoying. Maybe that's why the show's not coming back. Gossip Girl. Oh, Gossip Girl. Who do we got here? Serena.
Oh my God, Serena. Really? Okay, yeah, she kind of sucks, yeah. Yeah, I get it. I thought we were going to say Blair, but I was like, I feel like that's her vibe. Yeah, Serena is so like rich people problems.
Okay, I never watched Gossip Girl.
Oh, I love Gossip Girl.
Jenna Hamilton on Awkward.
Haven't seen this show.
No, I've never seen Awkward either. And Oliver Queen from Arrow. Okay, you know what? I kind of get where Watch Mojo is coming for this. You know, he had like this kind of maybe an ego problem. His character did.
Totally.
Yeah, he was a little unlikable. Sure. All right, you ready for this? The worst main character on their own show. Why, it's Dawson Leary from Dawson's Creek.
Okay, before we get started here, I did a list and it was top 10 reasons why Dawson Leary is the worst on Ms. Mojo, okay? That was the list. And then on Twitter, I get tagged in this podcast. It was these two guys who do a podcast about Dawson's Creek. And the whole podcast, they were shit-talking me because we were criticizing Dawson Leary. And they were like making fun of me and everything. So I'm like, bring it on, babe. Like, we're going to talk about this again? Yeah, he sucks.
I watched Dawson's Creek. I did watch Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
I for some reason I enjoyed it, but yeah, I didn't like. I don't know what it was. Why do people not like Dawson? What was his thing? He was another one of those, the nice guy, right?
Yeah, it's the same as like the Ted Mosby thing. It's like the nice guy archetype where you're actually not that nice and you're just entitled.
I think you nailed it with entitled. I totally got that. I definitely was Team Pacey. Who else was in there? Katie Holmes was Joey. Mm-hmm. There was Jen.
Yeah, that was Michelle Williams.
Yeah.
No,
Of course, Michelle Williams. And then I think they added more people to the cast as they went on. But yeah, I was a big Dawson's Creek fan. But yeah, Dawson, and I love. There's the meme, right, where he cries, where he's got that face. Poor James Van Der Beek.
Oh, I love him. It's not him. It's the character.
That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
He was also in How I Met Your Mother. He played Robin's ex-boyfriend, and he was the worst in that too.
There you go, Van Der Beek. But that meme of him crying, that face, it just makes me laugh. But that's
so funny.
He can never live that down. There you go. Those were some of the worst of the worst main characters on TV shows. Hey, Phoebe, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. That was a really fun one.
All right, everybody. It is now time for our Mojo Chats of the week. We're kicking things off with some of the stars of the new crime thriller, The Runner. The movie is titled The Runner. It's a really great crime thriller. And here to tell me more about it are two of the stars. We got Cameron. We got Edward. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Good,
Good,
man.
thank you.
Listen, I love these type of movies, by the way. And I really enjoyed this one. Set the stage, give us the tease. Edward, why don't you take it? Because the focus really is on your character and this really fascinating little story we got going on here.
Yeah, it's the movie looks at the 24 hours of a kid who's turned informant and is about to bust down a drug kingpin, pretty much, and how that comes to be, how it came to be, their past, and all the demons are coming up, through the movie of this character and also all the characters around it, and just yeah.
Absolutely. Cameron, kid turned drug informant. That seems, I don't know. You tell me. Is this, could this happen? Is this happening, I guess?
Well, so Michelle, our director, came up with this concept as a result of, watching these interviews about how undercover agents were getting these underage, children, kids in high school, and busting them with, kind of little stuff in the hopes to get them to turn into confidential informants. And she was really disturbed by it, and sort of came up with this concept.
Yeah, almost like lambs to the slaughter. That's these are kids, of course.
Yeah.
Edward, I want to stick with you, and I don't want to presume anything, but I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Sure.
that there was a physical transformation you took on for this role. Am I assuming correctly, or?
Yeah. I lost a lot of weight for it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because your character obviously is dealing with these addictions, and I really feel like when you see you on screen, it's like, wow, it's the authenticity is there, and it's so believable. Tell me about that experience. Was this kind of like your first time really going for like a?
It was my first lead. I mean, this whole press is my first press. That was my first real lead movie, pretty much my first movie. And yeah, definitely the first time I tackled any kind of physical change like that. But it was all credit of the script. That's what it was asking for, And when I was trusted with the responsibility of that, I had briefly discussed with the director that that's what I wanted to do. That I felt that it would be appropriate because I wasn't very skinny when it came out. I was more training and all whatever athletic. And I just thought that, this movie is based on the 24 hours, like I said, but we have to assume that those 24 hours have been repeated throughout months and months. And they do mention in the movie through my character Aiden and Cameron's character Detective Wall that we've been trying this for a while. This might be it. So I wanted to make sure that there was that authenticity with his life, you know, and the battles he's had, and that you could see that. And I felt that that kind of came through, I guess.
Well, as a viewer, I can say that you nailed it.
Thank you.
You got the result for sure.
Indeed.
Cameron, I'm gonna switch to you. You have such an interesting character. It's like, I mean, you're the cop, you're the detective guy, you're supposed to be the good guy, but then you're also got those shades that you kind of don't like your character. How do you play that as an actor? Do you like that when there's all these kind of mixed lines? And
I do. Yeah, I like the fact that I really try to humanize Detective Wall. You know, he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's a cop trying to do his job to the best of his ability, who has his own life, his own demons, and I think he's caught off guard and by surprise in the connection that he ends up developing with Aiden. It was a pleasure working with Edouard. He's a extremely talented actor, which makes my job much easier. And we clicked from the get-go. So we were able to have a lot of fun with our characters, keep each other on our toes. And I hope it comes through in the work.
Absolutely. Okay, last question. We here at Watch Mojo, we like to rank things. We're all about the top 10 list. This movie, I call it a thriller kind of crime film. What's your favorite in this genre of movie? Is there a movie that you kind of took inspiration from, or maybe that you just love watching regardless? Edouard, are you a movie guy? Is there one that tops your list?
Cameron, go first. Cameron, save me.
The John Grisham films pop right into my mind when you ask that question. Any one of his books that were adapted. Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of good thrillers coming out these days. That seems to be the genre that's really appealing to people.
It's also nice. No, and it's also nice that we have an alternative to just the superhero stuff, right?
Yeah, that is good too. Yeah, a little bit of a choice.
Righty, the spice of life and entertainment. Listen, gentlemen, this has been fun, and we do want to encourage people to check it out. The movie is titled The Runner. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, here's my chat with the director of the Aubrey Plaza starring movie Emily the Criminal. Why, it's John Patton Ford. The movie is titled Emily the Criminal. It's this really fantastic taut crime drama. Made a big splash over there at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year. Here to tell me more about it is the director. It's John Patton Ford. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, man, it's going good. It's good to see you. Thanks for watching.
I really enjoyed this movie. I can't wait to tap into your brain and find out more. I said you're the director, but you're also the writer. I don't know if you did other stuff. Maybe you made sandwiches for the crew. Regardless,
yeah.
Regardless, this is your baby. Why this story? Why was this important to you, and why now? Because it did feel pretty timely.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Why this? It just felt like what I had authorship to do. It just felt like, well, of all the things, I know what this is about. You know, it's about someone with a lot of student debt who feels a lot of anxiety and a lot of frustration. It feels like they have to break the rules to get what they want. And that's how I felt for years. And in some ways, it's still how I feel. So that's why.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, how far did you go into the research part? Because we're talking about this kind of underground, a little bit of a scam crime world. Did you research this a lot? Did you meet anybody?
Gentleman never tells, Matt. I did some research. I wanted it to be specific, and I wanted it to feel like reality. I wanted there to be I wanted it to feel like you could just go around the corner and expect to see this happening.
Yeah, no, it definitely has that authenticity to it. So what you're saying is that this actually is happening, right? We can these scams and these type of people that are kind of desperate in their lives. This is actually taking place around us.
Yeah, there's something really specific that happened like this back in 2011 in LA.
Wow.
Very much a real thing. Yeah.
Social commentaries. I mean, there's this film is flooded with them. What's the one thing that you hope audiences take away? If there's one thing that you hope that they take from it, because
Sure.
yeah,
I think the idea of being, 70, 80, $90,000 in debt and unable to find a job is a uniquely American experience that we accept in this country, but other countries are absolutely flabbergasted that this is our reality. And I just hope that people watch this and come away understanding the desperation and the fear and the anxiety that people are saddled with who go through that experience. I just think we have to change the rules around this. And I hope people walk away from it going, wow, is that how people feel? Because yes, that is how people feel.
it really is. Listen, you're preaching to the choir. I know so many people that are like Emily, but maybe not. Maybe don't take it as far as Emily does.
Yeah, but I think we at least understand like the emotional like impetus behind her, even if we wouldn't do what she does.
Absolutely. Let's talk Emily for a second. More specifically, the actress that you got to play Emily, which I think is a fantastic, inspired choice. And this is another one on the list that I was like, wow, she's a real revelation here.
Man, Aubrey is just she has a great like focus and aggressiveness, and she's tireless. When she wants something, she just goes for it so hard, often to the point where you want her to like slow down and just like take a nap. Like she is just wild, and I love her for it. And I wanted to lean into those qualities that she has in the character and just let her go, full Aubrey. She's made a living playing mostly comedic roles and being kind of dark and very often deflective and kind of like guarded and sarcastic, and which is wonderful. But she has all these other qualities that if you know her, you know these things about her. And I just thought, wouldn't it be cool to show audiences some of that stuff that I know, but audiences don't know?
Yeah, no, she's actually fantastic. And this is another movie that I'm sure will up her game out there. And then Theo Rossi was also fantastic as well as the other lead.
Oh man, Theo, this is the coolest cat in the world. He just came like from nowhere. It was a really hard role to fill. I mean, those are really specific boxes that needed to be checked. It had to be someone who spoke Arabic as one of their first languages, and someone with a Middle Eastern background, someone who's right for the role and vibes with Aubrey and available and all these things. And just like we were down to the wire. We were like 2 weeks out from production, and
yeah,
he just showed up and so committed and so prepared and so professional. There's never a bad moment with him. He never misses.
Well, I can tell you that everybody involved really nailed this film. I do want to encourage everyone to check it out. Before I let you go, John, we here on Watch Mojo, we like to rank things. That's kind of our thing. We do all these top 10 videos. This is your first directorial debut. If you were to make a Mount Rushmore of directors or people that inspire you, that you look up to, who tops your list? Who's number one?
Oh man, popping that question on me late in the game. Give me an hour. Gosh, directors. Geez, where to begin? All right, let me try to get this together for you real fast. Jan Trell, who's a Swedish director that is one of my favorites of all time. Jacques Edouard, who's still around and still working, one of my favorites. I'd say Joachim Trier, also a contemporary filmmaker, made The Worst Person in the World last year. And then I got to go Kubrick and Scorsese because I have to.
We'll take those 5. That's perfect. Hey, John, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today. This is great stuff.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition, everybody. Big thanks going out to all my guests today, and of course, the very lovely Phoebe de Jeux. And hey, a big thanks going out to you for watching and listening. As always, I've been Mr. Hollywood, popping that culture.